Anna's story is a really good story for people who want to learn English. The language level starts at intermediate. With each episode, there is more vocabulary and grammar, so your English will get better and better.
Do you remember the last episode? Anna and Andras got back to the flat, but Andras drank too many vodkas and was boring and fell asleep. Anna's Story, Episode 8, The English Class. Yesterday, George and Sally walked to the cinema. George wanted to go by bus, but Sally lived near the cinema. Walked, wanted, lived. Listen again. Walked, wanted, lived. What do you notice about the endings? Walked, wanted, lived. What do you notice? Well, the endings all sound different. Walked, wanted, lived. Id, d. What? Thought Anna, shocked. They all end in ed, but they all sound different. That's crazy and horrible. Ridiculous. How will I ever speak English well? Never. Impossible. Anna had been in the classroom for 20 minutes, and already she was depressed. There was so much she didn't know, and her new classmates seemed to know everything, but obviously not the 3 ED endings. Then Steph, the nice, friendly English teacher with about 10 earrings in each ear, wrote down the rules and asked the class to put the verbs into the correct t, id, d groups. But it was okay, because Steph put the students in pairs and her partner knew exactly what to do. Her partner's name was Theresa. She was Spanish and she was also very friendly. "I've done this before," said Theresa, and they, or really Theresa, got everything right and Anna was pleased. Anna and Theresa talked in the break. Theresa was an au pair, looking after 2 small children, Ben and Ruby. Ruby, she will never forget that name. "I arrived in January. I couldn't find a job in Spain, so I moved to London to improve my English. I looked for work and found a job as an au pair. What are you going to do on Friday?" "Yes, I have a new friend. We can go out together. We can speak English together. But she doesn't put the ed endings into the correct groups when she speaks. Strange." Anna's going to be a good English student. So now Anna was more positive about the English classes. She was determined to do her homework, try really hard, speak English as much as possible, and soon, hopefully, she could say the things she wanted to say to people in the way she wanted to say them and then find a better job. It was Katja and Boris who had told her about the small, friendly language school in the middle of Crystal Palace. They were in the kitchen eating breakfast the morning after that terrible evening with Andras. Boris and Katja looked very brown after their holiday in Bulgaria, tired but happy. They seemed nice. Boris talked a lot. Katja said a few things, but not many because she was on her phone most of the time. Boris spoke an unusual English. He used bloody and like often. "The sea was bloody marvellous. It was like clear blue, bloody warm. I was like, this is heaven." Boris asked where Marta was. "She had a problem with her job and with Andras," said Anna, which also explained why Andras was sleeping in the kitchen with a cold cup of tea when Katja and Boris arrived back. They could get more information from Andras later, thought Anna. "Andras looks bloody awful. He was like, 'Don't touch me, don't talk to me,' when we woke him up, and then they put him in bed. He was heavy." Andras bought Anna some flowers the next day. Anna thought it was to say sorry, but Andras didn't speak to her about the evening, or about Marta. It was as if that episode had never happened. Back to the English school. Anna liked the school, but she needed money to pay for the course. I must earn some more money, she thought. She asked some of the people she cleaned for. Mrs. Greenford said she could babysit for her sometimes. Jack liked that idea. Jean-Paul said she could walk Tutu sometimes. Anna liked that idea. Mr. Henderson said she could sit with him sometimes in the evening to keep him company. Anna didn't like that idea. She was worried about Mr. Henderson. He followed her from room to room while she cleaned. He talked all the time, and she was beginning to understand him more and more. Sometimes it was normal chat, about his days in the army, or about his wife who died a long time ago. He was sad about his wife. He was sad about his daughter who never came to visit him. But sometimes he asked uncomfortable questions, like if Andras was now her boyfriend, and what sort of boys did she like? And did she like dancing? What sort of cakes did she like? Would she like to sit and have another cup of tea with him? Then she usually changed the conversation to other things. For example, "You need a new bathroom cleaner. I think the one in the yellow bottle is good." Which was of course very, very boring, but safe. She wanted to wait a little longer before she decided he was too strange, and perhaps it wasn't a good idea to continue cleaning for him. Maybe he was just lonely and had difficulty talking to people. So Anna said, "Thank you, Mr. Henderson," but she was very busy in the evenings. And she was busy in the evenings. She didn't have a lot of money, but she could join the English class for 2 evenings a week. Her 2 teachers were Steph and Tim. Tim was big and loud and made the students laugh a lot. He really wanted to be an actor, not a teacher, and when he came into the classroom, usually 5 minutes late, and with a cup of tea sitting on his books, it was like a hurricane arriving. "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen," he boomed. "And how are you all this wonderful, warm, wet, windy winter's evening? Who has had an adventure this week? Tell me about your week, someone." He looked round the class. "Anna, tell me about your week." Anna trembled, but she was ready, and she replied confidently. "I cleaned some houses. I walked in Crystal Palace Park with Theresa." Anna was very careful with her ED endings. "We had coffee in a nice Italian cafe. I watched a program about baking cakes on the TV. I like this program. I watch it every week." Anna was pleased with her English, but it wasn't much of an adventure, and it seemed that Tim stopped listening after 10 seconds. "Marvellous, marvellous, fascinating. Well done, Anna." He gave her a big smile. They listened a lot in Tim's lessons. He told them some very funny stories. For example, he told them all about the time he had a lunchtime drink in a pub with colleagues on his birthday. Then he fell asleep on the train home, missed his train station, then found himself in Brighton, and so he missed his own surprise birthday party because he arrived home so late. They chatted in the lesson. They studied some grammar and vocabulary. They chatted some more. They did some English exercises. They chatted again. Then, suddenly, it was 9 p.m. 2 hours went very fast. That was fun, thought Anna. Then they all went to the pub, the Red Lion, where Anna drank an expensive Diet Coke and listened to more of Tim's stories. On the way home after the lesson, Anna looked at her phone. She had 2 messages. "Can you look after Tutu for me on Saturday and Sunday, please? Jean-Paul." "Yes." "See you tomorrow, Pavel." "Oh no."
Thank you for watching Anna's story. To find regularly updated episodes, please visit our YouTube account and our Facebook page, Anna's Story.